Hi, I'm Susie Garden, and this is the Ageless and Awesome podcast. I'm an age-defying naturopath and clinical nutritionist, and I'm here to bust myths around women's health and aging so that you can be ageless and awesome in your 40s, 50s, and beyond. The Ageless and Awesome podcast is dedicated to helping women through perimenopause and menopause with great health, a positive mindset, and outrageous confidence. Hit subscribe or follow now, and let's get started. Hello, gorgeous one, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast. I'm doing a flashback episode this week because I've had so many clients recently that are iron deficient. And I did an episode on this last year when I was doing Q&A Thursday. And I just figured, you know what? I think people need to hear this episode again. So this episode covers a number of different things of why you're iron deficient and how you can, I guess, address this, because it's really important. Iron is one of our most important, that's why we test it regularly, one of our most important minerals that we have in the body, and we use it for so many things. And it's so common these days for people generally to be iron deficient, but also I see it a lot in women in peri and post-menopause. So sit back and enjoy this flashback episode. This week, I have a question that I get a lot. I'm seeing a lot of women who are iron deficient in clinic and in my programs. And one of the questions I get a lot, and I've had this one from a lovely lady called Irene in Melbourne. And she said, why am I iron deficient? I eat red meat. What's going on? So there's a couple of things that can be the cause of being iron deficient. And obviously with women, a lot of the time it can be if you have quite heavy periods. And if you're not sure whether or not you are having heavy periods, I have done a Q&A on this a few weeks ago, so go and check that out. But if you're not having heavy periods, and you feel like, well, I eat red meat, I shouldn't be iron deficient. Well, there's a few things we can talk about here. As nutritionists, we used to say you are what you eat. And now we're saying you are what you absorb. And this is the thing. These days, lots of people are not absorbing their nutrients very well. Why is this? There are quite a few reasons for this. So one is they may not be chewing their food properly. Even things as basic as that can mean you're not breaking down your food properly if your digestion's not great. And so, you won't absorb your nutrients. So there's that, not chewing your food properly. There is being distracted when you are eating. So if you're watching TV, if you're looking at a screen, reading, anything but focusing on your food, essentially, then you're not smelling your food, you're not looking at your food. That kind of thing will reduce your secretion of digestive juices. We have something called the cephalic reflex. If you think about right now, think about what is your favorite food. Maybe it's chocolate cake, maybe it's the fresh bread, something like that. Just bring into your mind right now what your favorite food is. And I want you to really think about it, imagine it in your mind, imagine it what it smells like, imagine what it tastes like. And even me just talking about this to you, my mouth is watering. And I reckon for the majority of you listening to this, your mouth will be watering now too. Guess what? That's some digestive juices. We have enzymes in our saliva which break down our food. And we have this cephalic reflex that will help prepare the digestive system for food. So if you're distracted, and particularly if you haven't cooked the food yourself, so you haven't kind of been immersed in it for a little period of time, if you've ordered takeaway or you're having a restaurant meal, or if someone else has cooked for you and you literally come and you sit down and you eat, and you haven't been through that process of looking at the food, smelling the food, thinking about the food, your digestive system just simply may not be quite ready to digest that food. And then if you're not chewing your food properly, that's kind of an extra layer. And on top of that, if you are stressed, then your digestive system is not going to be as effective. you know that there's a couple of things. We have a gut-brain connection. We also have our stress response, which is the opposing nervous system to our relaxation response. The other term for our relaxation response is the rest and digest response. So if you're quite stressed, there is a reduction in blood flow to your digestive tract, and it will slow down peristalsis, which is the movement of the intestines, which propels the food through the body. So when that all slows down, we can get a reduction again in those digestive juices, and the food is just not going to be broken down and absorbed. So your iron is not going to be absorbed. So there's 3 things straight away. Another thing is, and a lot of people are really surprised when I tell them this, iron competes with tannins. Now, tannins are like a plant chemical that causes the dark color of coffee, of black tea, of red wine, things like that. Any kind of dark beverage, a beverage that's naturally dark, can compete for the same receptor site in your body that iron does, and it's actually a little bit of a stronger affinity. So what that means is if you sit down at a cafe, for example, or if you're one of the first things you do in the morning is when you wake up is have a cup of coffee or tea, that will essentially block your iron receptors. So if you're having an iron-rich meal or even your iron supplement within 2 hours of having coffee or tea, then your ability to absorb that iron is going to be very much reduced. So this is really important. If you are on an iron supplement, take it at a time that's at least 2 hours away from tannin-containing beverages such as coffee, tea, and red wine. So yeah, there's a hot tip. Another one is that to get really good absorption of iron, you need vitamin C. So if you're having an iron-rich meal, make sure you're also having vitamin C foods. Now, nature knows this, and when you're looking at plant-based sources of iron, they will almost always also have high levels of vitamin C in them, which is awesome. So you're going to get that absorption happening really well. Red meat doesn't tend to have that, so you do need to be mindful that if you are having red meat for the purposes of increasing your iron, that you're having some dark leafy greens with it, or some sort of citrus perhaps, that will help to give you that vitamin C so that you can absorb your iron better. The last thing I'm going to mention, because this is my short podcast, this Q&A, the last thing I'm going to mention is that you may have some inflammation going on in your digestive system that may be preventing some of the absorption or breaking down and absorption of your nutrients. So if you've got something like food intolerances, for example, I speak to a lot of people that are dairy intolerant, but they might just have some milk in their coffee and they may get a little bit of diarrhea, but that's okay because it's worth it. Well, every time you're getting like maybe a little bit of bloating or a little bit of diarrhea, and you know it's because of a food intolerance, then you've actually got a little bit of inflammation going on in your gut. And it's not something you're even probably aware of. But if you have that inflammation, that's going to make it just that little bit more difficult for your digestive system to break down your food and absorb your nutrients, including iron. So that's kind of my quick and dirty on why you iron deficient, even if you're having red meat. So thank you so much, Irene from Melbourne, for that question, because I think it's really important that particularly as women, a lot of us are iron deficient, and it's really important to know why, particularly if you're having iron supplements and you're having foods that are high in iron, but you feel like you just can never get on top of your iron deficiency. So yeah, there you go. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have a question for future episodes. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining me on the Ageless and Awesome podcast. If you liked this episode, please make sure you click the little plus button if you're on Apple Podcasts, or the follow button if you're on Spotify, so that you get each new episode delivered to you every single week. If you feel like writing me a 5-star review, you would absolutely make my day. If you found this episode resonated with you, head over to my Instagram and DM me at the perimenopause path. I would love to connect with you.